Well, the Second City, Toronto has reopened after a very long pause during the pandemic. They've been closed since November of 2020 after the closure of their Blue Jays Way location. But now they found a temporary home on the Danforth, and in-person classes and performances have finally resumed. The Comedy Theatre is another example of a business that has had to adapt quickly because of COVID-19. Carly Hefferman, creative director of the Second City, Toronto, joins us live now on CP24 Breakfast. Good morning, Carly. So great to have you with us. I love this story because I myself have trained at the Second City when you guys were located at Blue Jays Way. I've performed at Comedy Bar before. That was my prior life. And I just love how this is happening because Comedy Bar is pretty much postponing their second location to give you guys this temporary space until 1 York is open. So let's talk a bit about how you've come now to the second home.
Well, absolutely. And it just shows how supportive the comedy community in Toronto and Canada at large is of each other. We saw so much resilience from the comedy community throughout the pandemic. And so Comedy Bar basically giving Second City a residency while we wait for our next forever home to be ready down at 1 York Street is so, so beautiful. And it's just created a joy among the comedy community. The shows this weekend were absolutely joyful.
Oh, that is so good to hear. And Carly, you know, sketch comedy, improvisation, it's all about pivoting and adapting, which I think is so fitting for this situation that we're in right now. Can you talk about how you've been able to keep the business going with the switch to just everything going online?
Absolutely. I mean, you said it exactly right. Improv is all about pivoting. You are meant to play the scene that you're in, and the scene that we were in was a global pandemic. We found such joy in doing our online programming. Honestly, improvisers can make anything hilarious, and they can find the cathartic comedy in anything. And it gave us a chance, to be honest, to experience things that we would never experience in person. Once we had an audience member join us up on screen from their bathtub, and that's just something that doesn't happen in person.
For sure. I'm sure online has opened up a lot of things, but there's nothing quite like that live performance, right? That is just something that is so sacred and unique to comedy and many other art forms. Can you talk a bit about the space? Because I know that the temporary home at 2800 Danforth, it's a lot smaller than the one at Blue Jays Way, right?
Yeah, hilariously, though, in being there this weekend and seeing the shows, it's a fantastic space. It's wonderful. And there's pros and cons to everything. It's got much more of a community vibe to it because there's more space to hang out before and after the show, you know, grab a quick drink or a wonderful bite to eat and talk about what you just saw or talk about what you're anticipating seeing. And we do have a fabulous training center in the downstairs of this space. And so classes are already up and running, and being able to see a class and, you know, take part in a class and then go upstairs and see the professional version of what you're learning, that's so cool.
Okay, and very quickly, Carly, let's talk about diversification. We're not talking like stock portfolios. We're talking about diversifying the leadership.
Not Bitcoin?
No, not Bitcoin, although we did have a chat about cryptocurrency. But Carly, you were one of the women hired to lead the creative team. So talk about Second City Toronto's commitment to diversity and inclusion.
Absolutely. It's a really beautiful time right now. We're having that refresh and that shake up, that change of those priorities. We have to reflect the community that we are serving, right? And we are an ensemble on the stage, and we have to be an ensemble. That needs to be a trickle down. And so having more people with a seat at the table making those key decisions, that's wonderful news.
Okay, and Carly, just a reminder where people can get tickets to watch shows again at Second City or to take in-person classes.
Absolutely. Just go to www.secondcity.com and you'll get everything you need.
Okay. Carly Hefferman from the Second City, Toronto, thank you so much for your time this morning. Take care.
You too.
The OSN, the Ontario Sports Network, is launching a new campaign that's called This Is Your Sport. The goal here is to explore, to expand the definition of sport and to also break down barriers to participation that prevent people from pursuing a more healthy, active lifestyle. Here with more on This Is Your Sport is our Tokyo Golden Girl sprint cyclist, Kelsey Mitchell. Good morning, Kelsey.
Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for joining us today. Let's get right into it. This whole campaign, This Is Your Sport, also has worked hand in glove with a new survey by the OSN that sort of probed the barriers to accessibility to sport. And the top three are as follows. Third was a lack of local programming. Number 2 was distance and travel. And number 1 barrier, COVID closures. Does that surprise you, Kelsey? And you know, how is this campaign addressing that?
Yeah, no, it doesn't surprise me. COVID has made it very difficult for people to continue a healthy lifestyle, playing sports, getting their kids out there and staying active. And so I think the Ontario Sport Network is a great initiative and is going to help promote a healthy lifestyle, just inclusive with sport all around. You know, a lot of people think sport has to be a full-time thing, or every evening you're training, but you know, sport could be a once a week you're going into the soccer field and kicking the ball around, or your gym, and you know, just enjoying living that active lifestyle. And I think the whole initiative is just helping promote inclusivity and accessibility, and I think it's awesome, and I'm so pumped to be a part of it.
Awesome. Now look, you won the sprint cycling gold in Tokyo. For people that don't remember, we're all picking our jaws up after interviewing you back in August about this. You didn't even own a bike 4 years ago as a soccer player. Now, you took part in RBC's training ground program that identified, funded your skill set, your training. Is that kind of the spirit behind this thing for us, you know, mere mortals here to get off our butts and just do it?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I mean, for me, sport changed my life. As a kid, I played sports, and then as an adult at 24, I was introduced to a brand new sport. And I think, I hope my story helps shows that you can kind of start a new sport at any age, or start sport in general, and just living that active, healthier lifestyle at any age. And so I really hope that people can see my story and be inspired to, you know, either go ride a bike or just go out for a run, or just try something new and just help promote living a little bit healthier. You are living inspiration. And you know what? The athlete partners here with the OSN, they include Paralympian Marissa Papakonstantinou, former Raptor player, now coach Jamal McGlure, the Olympic decathlon gold medalist, greatest athlete in the world, Damian Warner, and yourself, to name a few. That is some dream team, Kelsey. Yeah, I think it's so special to us. Like, sport has obviously changed our lives, and we just want that for other people as well. You know, you don't have to be a full-time athlete, but just getting out there and living a fun, active, healthy lifestyle is what we want to promote. And we hope that people can see us being a part of this and want to join in as well. So yeah, and you know, a recent participation survey gave Canadian adults an F grade, a fail grade, for our sort of sedentary behavior. Look, if we're going to get fit for that fight against any future viruses as well, we got to turn that ship around pronto, right? 100%. Yeah. And I think that's the main thing. With COVID's been tough on everyone, especially mental health. And sport can bring so much joy and just so much more unity among the community and among individuals. And I just think that's kind of what we're needing right now. And Ontarians should be looking at this as an opportunity to get back out there and meet new people and experience different things through sport. And yeah. Right on to that. Kelsey Mitchell, thanks very much for your time. How do folks reach out and participate in this? You can head to the website, ontariosportnetwork.ca, and there's a lot of information on there, and you can see how you can get involved. Kelsey Mitchell, Olympic gold medalist, thanks for your time. Thank you so much.
I think it's safe to say Santa's into this one. The annual Toronto Symphony Orchestra Holidays Pops is back on at Roy Thomson Hall, and members are wearing their festive finest as they play some timeless holiday carols. The show also features Canadian Broadway singer Ryan Silverman. Performances continue until tomorrow.
That is a jolly old St. Nick there, Nick. Well, a new campaign has been launched by the White Ribbon that hopes to challenge the perspectives and norms of masculinity through music. White Ribbon itself was founded in 1991 as a response to the Montreal Massacre. Executive Director Humberto Carollo and White Ribbon participant Scott Johnson joins us live now. Gentlemen, good morning, and thank you for being with us. So let's talk about today, because you're launching a new campaign called Uncomposed, and it uses music to promote emotional literacy as well as healthy masculinity. So please help us understand more about this campaign.
Good morning. It's our flagship 30th anniversary campaign, and it's really meant to encourage men to feel, acknowledge, and express a broader range of emotions. It's really to encourage men to step outside of that man box that requires men to be strong and stoic and never pay attention to their emotions, where anger and frustration are the only ones that are acceptable.
Yeah, it's an interesting perspective indeed. So, Scott, you've been a participant in this program. Tell us how long you've taken part in, and how has it helped you? How has it changed you?
Well, I mean, initially all this started for me about a month ago, and you know, it's definitely given me something to talk about with my own two boys, and it's definitely created almost like I guess a vehicle for me to kind of direct the conversation towards how we're feeling, and you know, that it's healthy to express ourselves. It was a really interesting experience.
And Humberto, according to a survey that was conducted, more than 81 million North American men say they're reluctant to cry for fear of looking weak. Another 40% say that they find it difficult to express their emotions. So what is the goal of this campaign? What issues are you trying to explore with this?
Yeah, so we're trying to promote healthy masculinities, emotional literacy, and with the aim of ending gender-based violence, because when men are able to talk about their feelings and their upsets and their frustrations in a healthy way, they're less likely to use gender-based violence, to use abuse, to disconnect from their loved ones and family members, and more likely to seek support and help to deal with their whatever emotions they're dealing with. So this campaign helps them do that, and we hope to promote, to put out there a healthier version of masculinities where men and boys are free to be themselves.
Humberto, music can certainly, hit your emotional chords, hit you in the feels, as some people would like to say. Tell us about what's been composed to the music here, and who's involved in all of this.
So we collaborated with a great group of musicians, the Canadian Opera Company, and composers and scientists from various universities, including Princeton, Ryerson, U of T, and Northeastern. And they designed and composed a really great piece of music that when you listen to, helps to get in touch with your feelings and your emotions. That music helps us connect with our hearts and with our minds, and it creates a space where we can where we can find solace and comfort and open up about what's going on in our lives.
Okay, Scott and Humberto, thank you so much for joining us this morning to talk about Uncomposed. People can find more information on White Ribbon Campaign's website. Thank you both.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, Nick, while many here are looking forward to being able to gather with extended family and friends over the holidays again, there is still a big elephant in the room, right? How do you politely ask your guests to get tested against COVID-19 or for COVID-19?
That's right, a big question. So one startup is addressing that with a little bit of humor along the way. Sandy White is the co-founder of Rapid Test and Trace Canada and joins us now live. Sandy, thanks for being here. Let's talk about your polling before we get into the sort of comical cards you put out there, because you're really finding that Canadians want to ask, but many of us feel they either can't or are too afraid to.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was an interesting result that we got from the polling that we put out, where about 60% of Canadians want to go ahead and ask friends, ask family who they're going to be gathering with to go take a test, or they're interested in doing that. But then the number of people who would actually ask people whether they would do it was a bit lower than that. You can see that there's some reluctance to go ahead and broach this rather difficult subject when it comes to holiday gatherings and keeping people safe.
Right, and Sandy, over half of Canadians don't believe most Canadians will actually ask for their guests to take a COVID-19 test. And here's something interesting I found in the survey, that almost a quarter of Canadians don't even know if someone who is high risk is going to be at their holiday gathering.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think those figures are certainly interesting, and I think they speak to the fact that the question about health, the question about safety is still one that we dance around a little bit. And particularly as it comes to the holidays, we know that these gatherings are going to be bringing large groups of people together. And how do we do that safely? So our company, Rapid Test and Trace Canada, decided that we would approach this a little bit differently. And as you say, with a touch of humor, dealing with a subject that is difficult, that is stressful for people. But our view is that people should be getting tested all the time. Of course, we're a business. We're trying to promote that testing. But government should be pushing this message as well, as should all individuals across the country who are looking to spend time with friends and family over the holidays, but do it safely.
Yeah, the conversation about rapid testing is one we're certainly having a lot of, but these are difficult conversations, but the cards can help break the ice and use some humor at the same time. Sandy, I'm not sure how well our viewers can read what we're putting on the screen right now, but give us a sense of what's inside these free cards you've made available.
So we tried to lighten the conversation up. We're asking people to look at this in a more humorous way and say, look, we want you to come by, we want you to do it safely, and if you're going to come, do a COVID test. And we put a little jolt of comedy into that to, as I say, lighten the mood on a very difficult conversation. Because I think when it does come down to it, a lot of Canadians, as our study showed as well, expect to get into arguments about COVID, expect this to be a topic of contention around Christmas time. So I think if we can have people present this in a lighter way, that's probably the right way to do it. Not everyone is going to agree with it necessarily, but it's the best way for people to stay safe.
And Sandy, very quickly before you go, a lot of people trying to get access to rapid tests before the holiday season. And of course, Rapid Test and Trace Canada is a national provider of rapid antigen tests for COVID-19. So is there any chance that if, regular people just want to make sure that everyone's getting a rapid test before gathering for the holidays, does your company sell directly to people? Is there a website we can go to?
Yeah, absolutely we do. So we've become one of the largest retailers and providers of rapid testing in the country. We sell to individuals, we sell to government, we sell to companies. So if you need testing, you can come to our website, rapidtestandtrace.ca, and we can have people test as low as $7 or $8 within 1 or 2 days.
Oh,
Sandy White.
okay.
All right. Good to hear. Everyone's looking to get tested before they gather, but this will help ask that question for us. Thanks for joining us on CP24 Breakfast. Well, the Hamilton Tiger Cats and Winnipeg Blue Bombers are both headed to the 2021 Grey Cup game this Sunday. It's a rematch of the last time the CFL Championship took place. Of course, there wasn't a final last year. For more on this, we're joined live by TSN's play-by-play announcer, Rod Smith. Good morning, Rod. Thanks for being here on CP24 Breakfast. Great to hear your voice. Great to hear it all season long, in fact, on the TSN CFL broadcast. What are you expecting on Sunday?
Well, first of all, thank you, Nick. It's good to be with you. And I expect actually a close game. Winnipeg comes in as the favorite, as they should. They've been the best team all year long. They are the defending champions who beat Hamilton 2 years ago, the last time the Grey Cup was played. But the Ticats are, they're peaking at a very good time, and they're at home. And I don't think you can underestimate the value of having the home crowd there. So I do expect it to be close. And and all bias aside, I do expect it to be an exciting game like we had in the division finals, last week, both East and West. So I'm really looking forward to this.
Yeah, look, Grey Cup's an exciting weekend. And of course, missing out last year. I mean, if you're a Canadian and if you're a CFL fan, that was a difficult year, wasn't it? I mean, not seeing the CFL, not seeing the Grey Cup. So is there going to be a little bit extra, do you think, this time around?
I think so, too. And it's kind of fitting with these two teams, Nick, because they started the season, the shortened regular season back in August in Winnipeg. And that was the first CFL game since that Grey Cup in 2019. And you're right, it was a hard year for the league. I mean, it's been hard for everyone and in all walks of life, of course, with what they've had to endure with the pandemic. And this was the first time in over 100 years that the Grey Cup had to be canceled. You think about that the trophy has been around so long. It had been a century since something had come along to cause the cancellation of the game. So I think it will have more meaning. I mean, it certainly was very emotional in Winnipeg back in August. And I think there's a similar type of emotion, for those that were missing the Grey Cup a year ago, as I was, and wondering when they would actually be able to gather together and play the game again.
Rod, I worked in Hamilton for about a dozen years, and I know how diehard those Ticat fans are, and they are desperate for a Grey Cup. They haven't won since 1999. Now they've got, I would say, the team exactly where they want them, playing in front of the home crowd. But they've got this quarterback situation. Jeremiah Masoli was sort of pulled. Dane Evans comes in perfect in the second half of last week's game. He's going to be starting this weekend. What do you see about Dane Evans and the way this team is going to mold around him? Because everyone thought it was, Masoli with the hot arm and the incredible passing.
Yeah, and very athletic, too, and more of a scrambling quarterback, where Dane Evans is more of a pocket passer with a great arm on deep balls. And he has the experience, too. I mean, they've had this dynamic now for a couple of seasons. They did in 2019 when Masoli got hurt, and Dane Evans ended up playing most of that season, and their offense didn't miss a beat. They finished at 15-3, so he's been there. Even though he hasn't played very much because he's been, backing up Mazzoli, or he's been hurt himself. I think he's only had about 3 starts before this. He is experienced, and I think that's going to be a big factor for him coming in. And they do know, despite the struggles of Jeremiah Mazzoli early on in Toronto, he's had some good games in 2021 as well. And if it ever came to that, Orlando Steinhauer has a nice situation from the standpoint that he has 2 quarterbacks that do have experience. But I think Dane Evans has certainly earned the right to be the starter.
The Blue Bombers have that steamroll of a running back, though, in Harris. I mean, the way he sort of ran through the Rough Riders last weekend, he is such a difference maker.
Well, I think this is the key to the game. There are so many, but the one I'd be focusing on most, thinking back to 2019 when Andrew Harris was the most valuable player of the game, and he ran wild, and he's been injured through much of this season. He only played in 7 games until that Western final last week, and there was a question going in whether or not he'd even play. It was a game time decision. They announced a couple of hours before the game that he would, and he looked as good as he did 2 years ago in that Grey Cup. I mean, he was running wild against Saskatchewan. He had, I think, 136 yards, and he looked like the Andrew Harris of old. And Hamilton's defense, Nick, has been very good at stopping the run. Think of the games against Montreal with William Stanback. They were great, and they're going to have to be great to stop that running game of Winnipeg with Andrew Harris back.
It's going to be interesting, too. And, of course, weather, I don't know if it's necessarily going to be a factor, Rob, but it looks like it's going to be like 14 degrees potentially on Sunday afternoon. So it's not going to be a snow bowl or an ice bowl. It could be fairly comfortable for some good old Canadian football.
That is considerably warmer than it was in Winnipeg. The Western final that got pretty chilly, but that's amazing because that was the question. This is, by the way, the first Grey Cup to be played in December since 1972 in Hamilton. And it's actually, it's the latest game ever for a Grey Cup in the modern day history of the CFL. So to hear that little weather forecast, the fact that it could be that warm, I mean, who'd have thought? I mean, I think when the CFL set the date so late, and they had to because of the late start to the season, that was the big concern. What's the weather going to be like? That'd be awesome. Well,
listen, we're looking forward to the game. We're looking forward to your broadcast. Rod Smith from TSN, thanks so much for being here. Great to chat.
Oh, appreciate it. Always good chatting with you, Nick. Thank you.
You bet. Thank you.